The massive mining vessel drifted through the asteroid field, its weathered hull reflecting the dim light of a distant star. To any observer, the ship appeared unremarkable. Just another independent prospector searching for valuable minerals in the dangerous outer reaches of known space. Its navigation lights flickered erratically, and patches of rust marred its hull plating. The name Prosperous Fortune was barely visible beneath years of space dust and micrometeorite impacts. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes scanning the field of tumbling rocks before them. Her short black hair was streaked with premature gray, a testament to the burden she carried. Behind her, the bridge crew worked in practiced silence, their movements precise and deliberate. "Status report," she said quietly, not turning from the view. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, her tactical officer, responded without looking up from her holographic display. "No signs of Kraxan patrols within sensor range, Captain. We're maintaining our mining vessel profile perfectly." Chen nodded slightly. The Prosperous Fortune was anything but a simple mining vessel. Beneath its carefully crafted facade of decay and neglect lay the U.S. Phantom, humanity's most advanced warship and perhaps their last hope for survival. The Kraxan Empire had appeared 15 years ago, emerging from previously unknown space with technology far beyond anything humanity possessed. They didn't come with demands or ultimatums. They simply began systematically destroying human colonies. Their ships, massive crystalline structures that seemed to defy physics, had cut through Earth's defense fleet like paper. Billions died in those first months. Earth itself was rendered uninhabitable, its surface transformed into radioactive glass. The surviving humans scattered across the stars, hiding in asteroid belts, on hostile worlds, and in the dark spaces between systems. The Kraxan hunted them relentlessly, viewing humanity as vermin to be exterminated. But humans, as they had done countless times before, adapted. They learned. They survived. "Engineering reports ready, Captain," called out Chief Engineer James O'Neill from his station. The burly Irishman's hands danced across his console, monitoring the revolutionary systems that made the Phantom unique. Phase shift drive is primed, and quantum cascade capacitors are charged. The phase shift drive was humanity's greatest achievement, a propulsion system that allowed the ship to partially exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. It made the Phantom nearly impossible to detect and gave it capabilities that even the Kraxan couldn't match. The quantum cascade weapon system was equally revolutionary, a weapon that could target an enemy vessel across multiple dimensional phases, making traditional defenses useless. Both technologies had been developed in secret over the past decade, the work of brilliant minds working in hidden laboratories scattered across dozens of worlds. The Phantom was the first ship to incorporate both systems, and after 2 years of careful preparation, it was finally ready to strike. "Message from Control, Captain," announced Communications Officer Zora Patel, her fingers pressing against her neural interface. "Operation Shadow Strike is confirmed. We have go status." Chen finally turned from the window, facing her crew. They were the best humanity had to offer. Survivors, fighters, geniuses. Each had lost everything to the Kraxan. Each had dedicated their lives to this mission. "The time for hiding is over," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "For 15 years, they've hunted us, killed us, tried to break us." She moved to her command chair, settling into it with practiced ease. They thought they'd won, thought they'd crushed humanity's spirit. Today, we show them how wrong they were. The crew straightened at their stations, years of training and preparation evident in their posture. They knew what was coming, had trained for this moment countless times in simulation. "Plot course for the Kraxan Central Command Station," Chen ordered. "Keep us in the asteroid field as long as possible. Maximum stealth protocols." The massive station was the heart of Kraxan operations in this sector, a crystalline fortress larger than Earth's old moon. It coordinated the endless hunter-killer fleets that pursued human survivors and housed the quantum communication array that linked Kraxan forces across 3 sectors of space. Intelligence gathered by human resistance cells suggested that the station's defenses, while formidable, had a critical weakness. The Kraxan, confident in their superiority, had never faced an enemy that could threaten such an installation. They had grown complacent. The Phantom glided through the asteroid field, its advanced navigation systems allowing it to move with impossible precision between the tumbling rocks. Every motion was calculated to appear random, matching the profile of a typical mining vessel buffeted by gravitational forces. Kraxan patrol vessel detected, Rodriguez reported calmly. Maintaining distance of 50,000 kilometers. Standard sweep pattern. Chen watched the patrol ship's icon on her tactical display. The crystalline vessel was massive compared to the Phantom, its hull gleaming with internal energy. A single shot from its primary weapons could vaporize a normal ship of the Phantom's size. "Hold course," she ordered. "Let them see exactly what we want them to see." The patrol ship's sensors swept over them, analyzing the Phantom's carefully constructed false signature. To their instruments, it would appear as nothing more than an old Turan Mark IV mining vessel, a design so common that thousands still drifted through space, operated by the scattered remnants of humanity. "They're moving on," Rodriguez confirmed after several tense minutes. No sign of suspicious activity. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The deception was working perfectly. After years of preparation, humanity was about to remind the galaxy why they had survived countless challenges throughout their history. The Kraxan thought they had broken humanity's spirit, but they had only forced it to evolve. "We'll reach optimal strike position in 6 hours," O'Neill reported. "All systems are functioning within parameters." Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. The Phantom's path would take them past 3 more patrol routes before they reached their target. Each encounter would test their deception, but she had absolute faith in her ship and crew. "The Kraxan believe they know everything about us," she said quietly. "They think they understand human nature because they've studied our defeats, but they never bother to study our victories, to understand what makes humanity truly dangerous." She looked at each member of her bridge crew in turn. "We don't break. We adapt. We overcome. And when pushed far enough, we change the rules of the game entirely." The Phantom continued its carefully plotted course, looking to all the world like just another refugee ship trying to survive in the harsh reality of a post-Earth galaxy. But beneath its unremarkable exterior, humanity's deadliest creation was preparing to strike a blow that would shake the Kraxan Empire to its foundations. The hunt was about to begin, and for the first time since the invasion, humanity was the predator. The Kraxan Central Command Station loomed before them, its crystalline structure catching the light of nearby stars and fragmenting it into rainbow patterns across space. Captain Chen had seen images of the station before, but nothing had prepared her for its imposing reality. The massive structure dwarfed everything around it, surrounded by a constant stream of supply ships, patrol vessels, and combat cruisers. "Incoming transmission," Zara announced, her neural interface pulsing with activity. "They're requesting our registration and cargo manifest." Chen nodded to her communications officer. They had prepared for this moment extensively, creating a flawless false identity that would withstand even the most rigorous inspection. "Send them our prepared package. Remember, we're just another struggling mining operation looking to sell our ore." The manifest they transmitted showed a hold full of common minerals, nothing valuable enough to raise suspicion, but sufficient to justify their presence. The registration documents had been carefully crafted using data stolen from actual mining vessels, modified just enough to avoid triggering any automated verification systems. "They're processing our credentials," Zora reported, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the bridge. Every crew member knew that discovery now would mean instant death. The Kraxan never took prisoners. Minutes passed in tense silence as they waited for the response. Chen kept her expression neutral, but her mind raced through contingency plans. The Phantom's weapons were primed, its revolutionary drive system ready to engage at a moment's notice. If their deception failed, they would still strike hard before they died. Authorization granted, Zara finally announced. We're being directed to Docking Bay 47 Alpha for cargo inspection. A collective breath of relief passed through the bridge crew, though no one relaxed completely. This was just the first step. Getting inside the station's defensive perimeter was crucial to their plan, but it was far from the most dangerous part. "Take us in, Helm," Chen ordered. "Nice and steady, just like we practiced. Engineering, maintain our false power signature." The Phantom moved slowly toward its assigned docking bay, its movements deliberately clumsy, like a poorly maintained mining vessel. Inside, however, its true systems hummed with carefully contained power. The phase shift drive was operating at minimal capacity, just enough to maintain their dimensional camouflage without being detected. "Multiple ships scanning us," Rodriguez reported from Tactical. "Reading 7 different sensor suites. 8, 9. They're being thorough." Chen smiled slightly. "Let them look. Everything they see has been carefully designed to tell them exactly what we want them to know." The Phantom's deception went far beyond simple sensor masking. Every system on the ship had been built with layers of false signatures that could be detected by enemy scans. The Kraxan would see exactly what they expected: an outdated reactor barely maintaining power, structural stress fractures that posed no immediate danger, and cargo holds filled with unremarkable ore. As they approached the docking bay, Chen studied the station's structure through the main viewport. The crystalline material that made up its hull was both beautiful and alien, refracting light in ways that seemed to defy physics. But unlike most humans who encountered Kraxan technology, she understood what she was seeing. "Status report, O'Neill," she called to her chief engineer. "Phase shift drive is maintaining optimal camouflage," he reported. "Quantum cascade capacitors are charged but dormant. All systems are reading as normal mining vessel output." He paused, checking another display. "The station's crystal matrix is exactly as our intelligence suggested. Their arrogance is our advantage. They haven't changed anything." That arrogance was key to their plan. The Kraxan believed their technology was so advanced that no other species could possibly understand it, let alone exploit its weaknesses. But they had never encountered anything like the Phantom before. The docking clamps engaged with a shudder that ran through the ship's hull. Chen watched as the crystalline docking tube extended toward their airlock, its transparent surface rippling like liquid despite its solid nature. "Boarding party approaching," Rodriguez announced. "Reading 6 Kraxan warriors and 2 technical specialists." Chen nodded to her tactical officer. "Maintain passive stance. Everyone remember your roles. We're just simple miners trying to make a living in hard times." The airlock cycled, and the Kraxan boarding party entered. The warriors were impressive figures, their crystalline armor making them appear more like living sculptures than biological entities. Their movements were precise and coordinated, every action displaying the absolute confidence of a species that had never known true defeat. The technical specialists moved through the ship, their scanning devices probing every compartment. The crew played their parts perfectly, appearing nervous but not suspiciously so. They were, after all, supposed to be simple miners faced with the intimidating presence of the galaxy's dominant species. "Your vessel shows signs of significant wear," one of the technical specialists noted, its translated voice carrying a hint of disdain. "Several systems are operating well below acceptable standards." "We can't all afford the latest equipment," Chen replied, letting a touch of bitterness enter her voice. "Times have been hard since your people arrived." The Kraxan warrior leading the inspection team shifted slightly, its crystalline armor catching the light. "You would do well to remember your species' position in the new order," it stated coldly. "Continued survival should be gratitude enough." Chen lowered her eyes, appearing properly cowed while internally marking the warrior for death. Every member of her crew had similar thoughts. Each insult, each degradation was being carefully recorded and would be repaid in full. The inspection continued for nearly an hour, the Kraxan team methodically checking every aspect of their false identity. Finally, satisfied that they were exactly what they appeared to be, they began to withdraw. "You have 12 hours to complete your business and depart," the lead warrior announced. "Do not exceed this time limit." As the Kraxan team departed, Chen exchanged glances with her crew. 12 hours was more than enough time. Their true mission would be completed in less than 6, and by then, the Kraxan Empire would never be the same. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered once the airlock had cycled shut. "O'Neill, prepare the phase shift drive for full power. Rodriguez, start mapping their internal defense grid. Zara, monitor all communications channels. I want to know the instant anything changes." The crew moved with quiet efficiency, each person knowing their role in the complex plan they were about to execute. The Phantom may have appeared to be a simple mining vessel, but it was about to reveal its true nature as the deadliest warship humanity had ever created. The hunt was entering its final stages, and the Predator was perfectly positioned to strike. The depths of the Phantom's engineering section. Chief O'Neill's fingers flew across holographic controls as he initiated the ship's transformation. Layer by layer, the false signatures began to fade, replaced by the true power that had been hiding beneath. The phase shift drive's quiet hum rose to a deep resonance that seemed to vibrate through multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Phase shift drive at full power," he reported through the ship's internal comm. "Quantum cascade systems online. Hull transformation beginning now." Throughout the vessel, microscopic machines embedded in the hull plating activated. The Phantom's exterior began to change, the false rust and wear vanishing to reveal sleek, dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Weapon ports appeared where there had been only scared plating moments before. On the bridge, Captain Chen watched the transformation through external cameras. Status of station defenses. Internal defense grid mapped and analyzed. Rodriguez responded, her tactical display showing a complex three-dimensional representation of the station. "They've got impressive firepower, but it's all focused outward. They never expected a threat to come from inside their perimeter." "Zara, status of communications." "Still clear, Captain. They haven't noticed anything yet." She paused, monitoring her neural interface. "Wait, getting some confused chatter from nearby ships. They're starting to detect power fluctuations from our position." Chen nodded grimly. "Right on schedule. Time to show them what humanity has been working on for the past 15 years. She opened a channel to the entire crew. "All hands, battle stations. Initiate Operation Shadow Strike." The Phantom's docking clamps disengaged with a thunderous crash, tearing away chunks of the station's crystalline structure. Before any alarms could sound, the phase shift drive engaged at full power. Reality seemed to bend around the ship as it partially shifted between dimensions, becoming a ghostly shadow of itself. Multiple contacts responding. Rodriguez called out, "Patrol ships moving to intercept. Station weapons coming online." "Too late," Chen said quietly. "They're far too late." The Phantom's quantum cascade weapons powered up, their targeting systems locking onto key points throughout the station. These weapons were humanity's greatest achievement, devices that could strike targets across multiple dimensional phases simultaneously, making traditional defenses useless. "First target package locked," Rodriguez announced. "Firing solution ready." "Execute," Chen ordered. The quantum cascade weapons fired. There was no visible beam, no dramatic explosion, just points of reality suddenly ceasing to exist as matter was scattered across multiple dimensions. The station's primary power core vanished, along with its main communication array and several key structural nodes. Alarms blared throughout the station as secondary explosions began to chain through its weakened structure. The crystalline material that made up its hull began to crack and splinter, unable to maintain integrity without its power core's stabilizing influence. "Kraxan ships responding," Rodriguez reported. 5 cruisers on attack vector. Their weapons are having difficulty tracking us through the phase shift field. Chen allowed herself a small, fierce smile. Show them why humanity is not to be underestimated. Tactical pattern Alpha 7. The Phantom moved with impossible grace, shifting between dimensions so quickly that it appeared to be in multiple places at once. Kraxan energy beams passed harmlessly through after images, while quantum cascade weapons struck with perfect precision. The first cruiser disappeared in a cascade of dimensional rifts, its crystalline hull shattering across multiple realities. The second and third fell moments later, their crews never even seeing the weapons that destroy them. Station's secondary reactors are going critical, O'Neill reported from engineering. The chain reaction is spreading through their crystal matrix faster than they can contain it. On the main view screen, Chen watched as the massive station began to tear itself apart. The Kraxan's own technology was being turned against them. The same crystalline structures that made their ships and stations so powerful becoming a fatal weakness when their power systems were disrupted. Message from the station, Zara announced, her voice tight with controlled emotion. They're broadcasting a distress call to all Kraxan forces in the sector. Should I jam it? No, Chen replied. Let them call for help. Let them tell everyone what happened here. Let them know that humanity is done hiding. The remaining Kraxan ships attempted to coordinate their attacks, but the Phantom was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It phased in and out of normal space, striking with weapons that ignored their advanced shields and armor, vanishing before they could effectively return fire. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected, Rodriguez reported. Large Kraxan fleet incoming. ETA 12 minutes. More than enough time, Chen responded. Status of the primary target. O'Neill's voice came through the comm, filled with satisfaction. The station's crystal matrix is completely destabilized. Total structural failure in less than 5 minutes. The quantum cascade effects are spreading exactly as designed. They won't be able to stop it. Chen opened a channel to the dying station. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the U.S. Phantom. For 15 years, you've hunted us, killed us, tried to break us. Her voice was cold but controlled. Consider this humanity's response. We are not beaten. We are not broken. And we are done hiding in the shadows. The station's destruction, when it came, was spectacular. The crystalline structure imploded, collapsing in on itself as dimensional rifts tore it apart from within. The quantum cascade effect spread outward, catching several nearby Kraxan ships in its field and reducing them to scattered atoms across multiple realities. Incoming fleet will arrive in 7 minutes, Rodriguez announced. 6 dreadnoughts detected among their numbers. Plot exit vector, Chen ordered. But first, make sure our sensors record everything. I want the Kraxan to have a perfect view of what their invincible command station looks like now. The Phantom's sensors captured the devastation in perfect detail. The shattered remnants of the station, the destroyed Kraxan ships, and the spreading dimensional distortions that would make this sector of space dangerous to navigate for years to come. Course plotted, Helm reported. Phase shift drive ready for long-range translation. Chen took one last look at the destruction they had wrought. This was just the beginning. The first strike in humanity's return from the brink of extinction. The Kraxan had thought they had broken humanity's spirit, but they had only forced it to evolve into something far more dangerous. Take us out, she ordered. Let's go show the rest of the Empire what humanity has become. The Phantom shifted between dimensions one final time, vanishing completely just as the Kraxan reinforcement fleet arrived to find only wreckage and the dawning realization that everything had changed. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity's revenge was just beginning. News of the Kraxan Central Command Station's destruction spread through hidden human channels like wildfire. In hidden bases, underground colonies, and secret shipyards scattered across the galaxy, humanity's scattered remnants watched grainy sensor footage of the Phantom's attack with mounting excitement and disbelief. Captain Chen stood in the Phantom's briefing room, surrounded by holographic displays showing tactical data from their recent strike. The ship was currently phased between dimensions, hidden in the heart of a nebula, while they planned their next move. The response has been even better than we hoped, Zara reported, her neural interface processing incoming encrypted communications. Resistance cells across 3 sectors are mobilizing. They'd been waiting for a sign, a proof that the Kraxan aren't invincible. And we gave them one hell of a sign, O'Neill added with a grim smile. He manipulated one of the displays, showing the spreading dimensional disturbances their attack had created. The quantum cascade effect is still propagating through their network. Their fancy crystal tech doesn't handle dimensional instability well. Chen studied the tactical overview. The Kraxan were responding exactly as predicted, concentrating their forces around key installations, leaving their patrol routes understaffed. Fear had entered their calculations for the first time. Message from Control, Zara announced suddenly. Priority 1 encryption. Captain, they're implementing Phase 2 ahead of schedule. Chen's eyes narrowed. Phase 2 had been considered a long-term possibility, dependent on the success of the Phantom's initial strikes. Put it on screen. The message was brief but electrifying. In hidden shipyards throughout human-controlled space, more ships were being fitted with phase-shift drives and quantum cascade weapons. The Phantom had been the prototype, proving that the technology worked. Now it was time to build a fleet. They've been preparing for this, Rodriguez said softly. All those underground factories, the secret research stations, they were waiting to see if our systems worked before committing resources. Smart, Chen replied. No point mass-producing the technology if the prototype failed. But now, she smiled, a predator's expression. Now we show the Kraxan what humanity can really do. A new set of coordinates appeared on their tactical display. Multiple targets across Kraxan space, each carefully selected to maximize the psychological impact of their attacks. Military installations, shipyards, command centers, places the Kraxan had always considered absolutely secure. The resistance cells are coordinating their attacks with our strikes, Zara reported. They may not have our advanced technology, but they know the Kraxan patrol routes, the weak points in their supply lines. They've been gathering this intelligence for years. Chen nodded. This was humanity's greatest strength, not just their technology or their fighting spirit, but their ability to adapt, to coordinate, to turn even defeat into an opportunity to learn and grow stronger. Message from the Perseus Arm Resistance, Zora continued. They've activated sleeper cells within Kraxan industrial centers. Production of crystal matrix components is being sabotaged. They estimate Kraxan shipyard efficiency will drop by 60% within a month. The Centaurus Group reports successful raids on 3 supply convoys, Rodriguez added. They're using the confusion from our attack to strike targets of opportunity. The Kraxan are spreading themselves thin, trying to respond to everything at once. O'Neill's console beeped, drawing their attention. New sensor data from our quantum probes. The Kraxan are trying to modify their crystal matrix technology to resist our cascade weapons. But, he grinned, they still don't understand the underlying principles. Every change they make just creates new vulnerabilities. Chen studied the tactical display, watching as reports of human strikes and Kraxan responses created patterns across the galaxy. The empire that had seemed unshakable was suddenly finding itself fighting brushfires across dozens of sectors. They thought breaking Earth would break us, she said quietly. They thought scattered humans would be easier to hunt down and eliminate. Instead, they forced us to become something new, something that could fight them on equal terms. A priority alert flashed on the main screen. One of their deep cover agents had transmitted data about a massive Kraxan fleet gathering, nearly a third of their total military strength being consolidated for a major operation. They're planning to hit what they think is our main base, Rodriguez analyzed. That abandoned mining system in the Carina Nebula. They still don't understand that we don't work that way anymore. We don't need central bases or fixed installations. Let them waste resources hunting shadows, Chen replied. While they're looking for bases that don't exist, we'll continue hitting targets that do. She turned to her crew. What's the status of our next target package? 3 Kraxan shipyards identified, Rodriguez reported. All major production centers for their crystal matrix technology. Security is heavy, but nothing we haven't handled before. The resistance cells in those sectors are ready to provide distractions when needed. The quantum cascade weapons are fully charged, O'Neill added. Phase shift drive is operating at peak efficiency. All systems are combat ready. Chen studied the proposed target locations, considering their strategic value. Each successful strike would further damage Kraxan military production, while demonstrating humanity's new capabilities to both allies and enemies. Send word to all resistance cells, she ordered. Operation Shadow Strike is entering its next phase. Tell them to be ready for increased Kraxan patrol activity, but to maintain their current operations. Every small strike, every act of sabotage adds to the overall strategy. The crew moved with quiet efficiency, coordinating with resistance cells and preparing for their next series of strikes. The Phantom's success had transformed humanity's scattered resistance into a coordinated campaign, and the Kraxan were only beginning to realize the true scope of what they faced. The Kraxan thought they understood us, Chen said, watching the tactical display update with new intelligence. They studied our military capabilities, our technology, our conventional tactics. But they never understood what makes humanity truly dangerous, our ability to adapt, to evolve, to turn defeat into opportunity. The Phantom's engines hummed as they prepared to phase shift to their next target. Across the galaxy, humanity's resistance was growing stronger, more coordinated, more deadly. The tide was turning, and the Kraxan Empire was about to learn why you should never corner a species as resourceful and determined as humanity. The Kraxan homeworld hung in space like a massive crystal, its surface a network of geometric patterns that glowed with internal energy. For 15 years, no enemy ship had dared approach this heart of the Empire. Now, the U.S. Phantom led a fleet of 30 ships toward it, each vessel equipped with phase shift drives and quantum cascade weapons. Status of the Kraxan home fleet, Captain Chen asked, her voice steadied despite the historic magnitude of what they were about to attempt. 800 ships detected, Rodriguez reported, including 15 of their dreadnoughts. They pulled forces from across the Empire to defend their homeworld. She paused, analyzing the data. Their formation is defensive, but they're having trouble maintaining coherency. The crystal matrix degradation is affecting their coordination. The quantum cascade effects from humanity's strikes had spread through the Kraxan's communication network, creating persistent dimensional instabilities that their technology couldn't handle. Their once perfect coordination was breaking down, creating opportunities that humanity was eager to exploit. All ships report ready, Zara announced, her neural interface processing signals from the fleet. Resistance cells across Kraxan space are launching simultaneous attacks on secondary targets. The Empire's forces are stretched to their limit. Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. The Kraxan home fleet was impressive, but they were facing an enemy they still didn't fully understand. Every attempt they'd made to counter human phase shift technology had failed, their crystal matrix systems unable to adapt quickly enough. Message from the Kraxan High Command, Zara reported suddenly. They're requesting communication. A murmur ran through the bridge crew. In 15 years of conflict, the Kraxan had never deigned to communicate with humans, viewing them as vermin to be exterminated rather than equals to be addressed. Put them through, Chen ordered. Let's hear what they have to say. The main screen flickered, showing a Kraxan leader's crystalline features. Its voice, translated through their systems, carried a tone they'd never heard before. Uncertainty. Human vessels, you have demonstrated capabilities we did not believe your species could achieve, the Kraxan leader stated. The High Command is prepared to discuss terms for a cessation of hostilities. Chen's expression remained neutral, but her voice carried steel. 15 years ago, you came to our world without warning or provocation. You didn't offer terms then. You didn't seek dialogue. You tried to exterminate us. The situation has changed. The Kraxan leader responded. Your technology has proven problematic for our systems. A compromise. No. Chen cut them off. You don't understand. This isn't a negotiation. This is a demonstration. She gestured to Rodriguez. Show them what humanity has become. The Phantom's quantum cascade weapons fired, followed by the rest of the human fleet. The shots weren't aimed at the Kraxan ships, but at specific points in space around the crystalline planet. Reality itself seemed to fracture as dimensional rifts opened, creating a complex geometric pattern that mirrored the planet's surface. What are you doing? The Kraxan leader demanded, genuine fear entering its voice for the first time. Showing you why you should have studied our victories instead of just our defeats, Chen replied calmly. Your entire civilization is built on crystal matrix technology, a system that requires perfect dimensional stability to function. We've spent 15 years learning how to manipulate dimensional space itself. The rifts continued to grow, linking together in a complex web that encompassed the entire planet. The Kraxan ships closest to the distortions began to experience system failures as their crystal matrix technology struggled to cope with the dimensional instabilities. This is impossible, the Kraxan leader protested. Our scientists assured us. Your scientists didn't think we could understand your technology, let alone surpass it. Chen interrupted. That was your mistake. Humanity doesn't just adapt, we evolve. We take what defeats us and turn it into strength. The dimensional web was complete now, creating a cascade effect that was spreading through every crystal matrix system on the planet. Cities began to lose power as their technology failed. Ships drifted helplessly as their control systems crashed. You can still surrender, Chen offered. Unlike you, we don't seek extinction. But understand this, humanity will never again live under the threat of annihilation. The galaxy is changing, and you can either change with it or be left behind. The Kraxan leader's image flickered as their communication systems struggled against the growing dimensional instabilities. Its crystalline features showed something no human had ever seen before: recognition of defeat. The High Command accepts your terms, it managed before the transmission failed completely. Chen turned to her crew, seeing the same mix of emotions on their faces: satisfaction, vindication, and the solemn understanding of what they had achieved. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had transformed themselves into something new, something that could stand against any threat. Send word to all resistance cells, she ordered. Tell them humanity is coming home. The Phantom hung in space before the Kraxan homeworld, its dark hull absorbing light, while dimensional rifts danced around it. In 15 years, humanity had gone from the brink of extinction to mastering technologies their enemies couldn't comprehend. They had learned, adapted, and evolved. Across the galaxy, humans emerged from hiding, no longer refugees but citizens of a new era. The Kraxan Empire, once seemingly invincible, was forced to adapt to a universe where they were no longer the undisputed masters of advanced technology. And in orbit around their homeworld, their mighty fleet rendered helpless by human ingenuity, the Kraxan learned what countless others had discovered throughout history: that humanity's greatest strength was not in their weapons or their technology, but in their unbreakable spirit and their ability to rise from defeat stronger than before. The war that had begun with humanity's near extinction ended not with their revenge, but with their transcendence. They had become something more than their enemies could comprehend, and the galaxy would never be the same.